Cable 10, Aurora, Illinois Community Access Channel.
See? That was nothing. But that's how it always begins. Very small.
Shut up, Mr. Burton. You are not brought upon this world to get it.
Go off and rule the universe from beyond the grave.
Indeed!
Or check into a psycho ward, whichever comes first.
On here is some kind of
Magic. The darkest magic.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
Go on, Egg.
My work's done. Lopan is dead and the evil spell's been lifted. Years ago, I promised myself a long vacation. And it's time to collect.
Well, why don't you go on over to China, visit the motherland?
Well, China's in the heart, Jack. Wherever I go, she's with me.
Oh, and you know what? That's just how it goes. When you haven't done a video in a while, you just like get thrown off. So hey, everybody, as that's our normal thing, talking as we hit record.
That's it. Jumping right in.
Yep. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun. Joining me today as if I'm not on his channel, he's on mine. I pointed in the right direction this time. Darrin Jaques from D's Reviews, and today we are discussing, well, you see it up above, Big Trouble in Little China. Why? Well, because we've been wanting to, this has been a video in the works for well over a year. I've procrastinated, life has happened, internet issues have come up, and that really sucked the last time too, man, because you had the lipstick that you have on now.
Yeah, got to go full.
And then the internet didn't cooperate. And while the rest of the internet might have gotten to this movie a long time ago, I don't care. This is one of those movies where when I think about what I wanted to do on YouTube, it was to talk about movies like this. It was to talk about shows that I love and movies that I love and everything else that I love. And not to get sidetracked a little bit, but like that's what I thought YouTube was really about when I first got into it, was to talk about the things we love. But that's not what gets traction. People want to talk about how they hate everything. So it's easy to put these kind of projects to the side and keep focusing on what's new, what's hot, what will get my numbers up or something, what will get the subscriber count, but that's never been what I wanted to do. I remember when you commented a million years ago when I did a video for Better Off Dead.
Oh,
like
yeah.
A long time. We're talking like 6 years ago or something like that. Those were the things that I really loved talking about because I can take myself back in time and talk about the way that those movies affected us and what they mean now to us. And that's what we're doing here, because we're not just going to sit here and talk about old Kurt Russell all day, or just John Carpenter all day. We're going to be talking about our feelings about this movie, but we're also going to focus on the actors and the stunt work. So many things about this movie that I'm sure a bunch of you already know if you're big film buffs. But if you're somebody who hasn't seen this movie, somebody in like either of our channels who has never seen this movie, or use this as a companion piece to watch our video after you've seen it for the first time. And then so if you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China, I highly recommend that you turn this off. It's free on YouTube. Okay. there's really no excuse to not watch a movie that's free on YouTube. So without further ado, we're going to jump into our first, like, what this movie means to us. Where did we first see it? All that kind of stuff. And I'm going to hand it over to Darrin because I really want to know, because I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I know this is it's one of your top movies because that's why we're doing it. But
True.
is this your favorite movie?
This is my favorite movie of all time. And my favorite movie has changed. For the longest time, it was what my favorite movie was when this movie came out, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford, scientist, adventurer, fighting Nazis. As a kid, as a science nerd kid, my God, that was like everything. Plus a whip and the cool hat and so on. No. And even after first seeing this movie, I think Raiders remained my favorite for a number of years before it kind of switched over. Really, when I think I accepted who I was as an adult nerd and what I really enjoyed so much about this film. Because let's see, so this came out in summer of '86. So I was 14. And I don't honestly recall if I had seen this in theaters or not. Where I was living was far from theaters and such. I didn't have my license yet or anything, so it's not like I could get my butt down to the theater. But cable was making its way in. You had HBO, you had, I think Cinemax was even way back there, and the Movie Channel and a few of these big ones. So I am pretty sure if I did not catch this in theaters, I certainly caught it by Christmas and fall when either the VHS came out at the warehouse video rental store down the street, or it ended up popping up on cable or HBO, one of the premium channels. And back in the day, you couldn't call up a movie to watch. They had to play it. And so when a movie would come onto a channel, it would play multiple times a day for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, and then swap out, its regularity. And that's kind of how you were able to watch all the big movies and such. And I certainly know by that point I had watched the hell out of this, because that is probably my biggest movie, is sitting in the living room, in the house, in front of the TV, just having a ball. And this was kind of a different film at the time. Carpenter's stuff, while he had made like Halloween and Escape from New York were both big hits, some of his other stuff, The Thing, was not a big hit when it first came out. That was in the same summer that E.T. came out. So guess which alien film the family's gonna go see? It did not do well. Yeah, exactly. And so when this came out, I know there was a lot of expectation for it, but it didn't have a huge theatrical run. But I still liked, Kurt Russell. I was up. I had gotten sort of into the Carpenter films, but not really too much. I think Kurt Russell was just so much from both Escape from New York and the younger Disney, computer wore tennis shoes and stuff. Yes, I'm that old, folks. I was just excited to see it. And it was a big kung fu film. But what got me so much about this movie is our hero is so much not the hero of the time. I mean, '86 was the heyday of Schwarzenegger and Stallone and that type of big, burly, confident action. And now we've got this guy who is, in my mind, someone who desperately wants to be the hero, sees himself as that heroic character, but has absolutely no idea what he's doing and is just bumbling through it with brusque confidence and luck. But he's got a good heart. He's there for his friend. He's there for, when the option comes up, when he could run, he doesn't. He sits down and is like, as two, I said I was coming with you. And I think over the years, that combination of comedy and and action and again that brusqueness. Now, I understand, being older and seeing more, it's basically the sidekick and the hero reversed with Dennis Dunn's Wang and Jack Burton's or Kurt Russell's Jack Burton is, yeah, the sidekick is seeing himself as the hero, and that makes a lot of sense. But to me, I think that the way that I saw it is why it stays true to me. Is this is somebody who is just, he's got a good heart and he thinks he's the hero and he wants to be there for his friend, but this is just the true reality of being in that situation. Is, look, you probably have no idea what you're doing in the middle of that, and you're just going to have to fake it till you make it, till you get through, and maybe you get the girl, maybe you just drive off. Thankfully, at least your buddy knows some kung fu and can save your butt. And the performances, which we will far get into, but of course, David Lopan, we will get in when we get into scenes, we'll get into those scenes. But James Hong makes this film, as much as Kurt Russell is the hero and really personifies that. This movie hinges on James Hong's Lopan. And of all of the actors, I think in the commentary, which we may get into a little bit also, that is one of the things that Carpenter says is James Hong understood the tone of this movie, I think, better than anybody else in front of the camera. And this is why you will see him pop up as Lopan in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episodes and other movies. In reference is just like, Lopan does live forever. And it's all thanks to John Carpenter getting hired to do this film.
Yeah, this movie, I had to do the same kind of thinking. It was like, did I see this in the theater? When exactly did I see this? Because I feel I've lived with it forever.
Yeah.
But I mean, for some reason, it's not that movie. Like, I can put myself in a lot of theaters from when I saw the movies. I mean, I remember The Big Lebowski, journaling the day of in that theater for The Big Lebowski, saying, these people don't have any idea that they're not going to watch a bowling movie. They don't know. They think they're watching a bowling movie, but they're about to see a Coen Brothers movie that just happens to have bowling in it. But this one, I know now that I didn't see this in the theater, and I hate that. I hate that, because we went to the movies a lot.
Yeah.
But in this time period of my life, family was blowing up, not good stuff. And I was still into a lot of like Disney stuff. I was getting older, but I was like young, like still young. My sister, my just younger sister, she liked a lot of more modern stuff, and I was still in. I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was like, I watched that movie so much I could quote that. I think I could probably still almost word for word that whole movie if I had to. Like, if I sat there and watched it, I could do it word for word, no problem. I used to practically fall asleep doing the Francis and Pee-wee bit at the beginning of that movie. And in those darker times of my childhood, movies became like this cornerstone for me that has lasted a really long time through different ups and downs. Like when I was in my 20s and out on my own, I still watched and loved movies, but I actually, was making an effort to be more social at that time. And but during those dark days before, like when I didn't know what was going on in our lives, and I was only like, let's see, 11, maybe 12 when this came out. But I think I had the exact date when this came out written down somewhere. What did you say it was?
So summer of 86.
Summer of 86. So yeah, I was like 11, maybe, yeah, like around 10, just about to be 11. So I know that I didn't see this when it came out. And I'm pretty sure that I didn't see this until after my parents kind of divorced. And the first memory I have of this movie is being at somebody else's house who had cable. And like you said, back then, you couldn't just see it. After the run is over, it's gone.
It's gone.
And videotapes, you can rent them. Sure, there were, I remember Stars and Stripes. Video store was our local video store, where you'd have to get a little, like, chip and take it off the wall, and everybody be running for those chips. Anyway, and the cable boxes. The bulky cable boxes that everybody tried to fiddle with so that you could see the unlocked, you could get them unblocked somehow. I remember being at somebody's house when I first saw this, and it blew me away. I'm 12, probably around that age, and it just fascinated me. I became obsessed with this movie for so long. The imagination that was in this, the creativity. But it's also one of those movies that I have gotten better and more appreciative of as I've gotten older and really put thought into what they were doing, the story that was going on, so that even now when I watch it, I still find things that I didn't even recognize until like the last time I saw it. And I've seen this movie a lot this year because of how many times we've been trying to do this. Is the movie of 2025 for me. I think I've watched this movie 5 or 6 times this year. And I found something. I don't know if we talked about this already, but we'll talk about it in a little while, where I was like, I realized something. I was like, oh my God, that's this.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, just falling in love with like what John Carpenter did for because he did Halloween slasher movie. Before that, I think it was like The Fog. And then The Thing, which I've always said that The Shawshank Redemption is like the best movie, and that like Pulp Fiction and Fight Club are my favorite movies. But the older I get, the more I'm like, when I think about like where to place things, I feel like The Thing, Back to the Future, and like Big Trouble in Little China are really like these movies that really changed my life. Those other movies did things too.
Yeah, they're great movies, but you find out later on the ones that really stick with you, that you really associate, like you say, with change or moments or, effect.
And every time I watch like The Thing, I'm still just like, this movie. And I didn't know. I mean, back then, I didn't think about directors and writers and things like that.
Right.
I didn't even really necessarily think about stars, because I didn't know who Kurt Russell was back then. I'm 12. I don't care.
Sure.
No, I knew who Michael J. Fox was from Back to the Future because I watched Family Ties. You know what I mean? Certain things just become part of the zeitgeist. You knew everybody who was in the Ghostbusters because they, you wanted to be those guys, so you knew who they were as actors.
Right.
But this movie, like you're saying, like you're right, this came out in the time of the big burly men. None of those guys would have been able to do what Kurt Russell was willing to do in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
They would never be able to let the other guy be the sidekick. They might be able to do it now that they're older and they're a little like, just give me the paycheck, or whatever, or see kind of the silly side of things, because their heydays kind of over in some ways. They're both still doing whatever. And it's not a knock on them. And also because Kurt Russell, I mean, he was not this big bankable star. He was in things that people like. He's one of those actors. I don't know. of any movie that he's been in that I didn't like his performance. I've seen him in movies I didn't like, but like Stargate, that's like that's the first movie I ever walked out on. I don't walk out on movies, and I walked out on that one. But it wasn't because of Kurt Russell.
Right.
And so thinking about this movie, it really is like top tier, and I can still watch it. When I was thinking about when I said you're rewatching it again today, and I'm like, I sat there and I could still just get lost in this movie because it just flies.
Oh, I tried twice making notes, and about a third through the picture, my notes just turned into like 3 sentences till the end of the film because you just get sucked into it.
I have the same kind of deal on different pieces of paper where I'm like, you do realize you wrote the same thing on different. At least my opinions didn't change from viewing to viewing. But I remember I remember hearing that, and one of the big controversies that kind of has gone away now, thankfully, was that there was a little pushback from the Asian community because they thought this was going to, hurt them.
Right.
And that's thankfully pretty much gone away, because this made me want to know more about this stuff. This movie practically is a gateway to anime. Like,
oh yeah, oh for sure.
Like all of this kind of stuff is in a lot of anime, and I just really appreciate a movie that took a culture's mythology that I didn't know about and drop it in our modern day, and then have this great fish out of water story guy who's just thrown into a mess when, I mean, originally this was supposed to be a Western.
Yeah.
And thankfully that didn't stick. And here we are now, like almost 40 years later. Next year will be 40 years. Maybe we should have waited another year to do this.
We'll do a live rewatch. There you go.
We'll do a script reading, or something. Live script reading, Big Trouble in Little China. But just it's one of those movies that woke me up. My imagination has always been. Is it bragging? To say that, like, I feel like I've had this limitless imagination my whole life, and it's because of movies like this that made me think anything was possible. When I see movies like this or Ghostbusters or The Thing, when I think about story and character and how to make things and work that maybe shouldn't work, this is that kind of movie that just made me fall in love with story and character, and how I just love everybody in it more and more. Even I'm sure when I was younger, I was like, I probably tuned out some of these characters that were in the background. But now every performance I just pay attention to, because I'm like, oh yeah, this guy was in this and that and the other. And yeah, like you talk about James Hong, right? I mean, the guy has been in movies forever. He finally got his Walk of Fame star recently, which is like a triumph. It's like
long
way
overdue.
past due. It's way past due. But just everybody in this is why we both like took an actor to work on. You've got James Hong, I've got Victor Wong, as Egg Chen, who I freaking love in this movie. And when I read about his life and everything and all of it, when people talk, and I'm gonna get a little, I guess, topical here.
Yeah.
But when people talk about who, like, the people that make America great, truly, it's everyone, and including all these great Asian actors that are Americans as well. Not everybody in this movie is American or has American citizenship, but these people, when you hear them talk, They love this country. And they come from, when you hear about their histories, they come from the building to make sure, of this country. When you hear stories that, like, when Egg Shen is like driving around in his little tourist van, hearing that little history lesson about where Chinatown in San Francisco even came from. That's where how this country was built, was with immigration and with people from all over the world wanting to come here to help make an incredible country. And that's why, when we see things now where we've got a bunch of people that are wanting to turn on all of these great Americans, it pisses me off. And that people like James Hong have had to wait this long for stars on the Walk of Fame, and for their culture, and quite frankly, they're not being able to being allowed to contribute more in movies and TV outside of, like, we need a kung fu guy, we need this and that and the other. Which, when you listen to James Hong talk about his audition for this movie, he's like, I can do kung fu stuff if you want, thinking that was necessary. Thankfully, John Carpenter didn't care. This wasn't that for him. And when you hear James Hong talk about being in this movie and what it's done for his career and what it's done for other people, not enough, but it really did, like, showcase, like, what, like, most people, like, how many people, and I don't just mean to, like, harp on, like, anime and stuff, but how many people, like, consume Asian American stuff now in this country, that, or at least from actors who do. It is, and it does, this is one of those movies that helps that.
Dude, it took till Crazy Rich Asians to get Ki-Hei Kwan to come back to acting. I mean, there's a guy that was just out of it, and I mean, did martial arts and stuff for a lot of productions and things out, but was out of acting until you suddenly have this one big thing a few years ago. And outside of that, probably Netflix might be the second biggest contributor to people seeing at least, Korean or Chinese or Japanese films that are not just anime.
Yeah, there's always, like, in the past, it's always been like one movie that's, like, come around and it's like suddenly people will talk about it for a second, like the Joy Luck Club or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, after that movie, how many copycats, not even copycats, but how many movies were bought by American studios to start pumping out to American audiences, like movies from Jet Li and Jackie Chan that had already been out for years.
True. Oh yeah.
Made for years already, and they'd just repurposed them for American audiences. It shows, like, to me, our culture, white culture, we just go after the things that other people like, and then we try to adapt it as our own.
We take it all. And yeah.
And sorry, that's just how this conversation has gone. It's where it goes when I start thinking about things. And that's just how it goes. Sorry if you didn't like that part of the video. Sorry.
That's the personal touch, is what they come.
Well, that's what we mean, is like these movies bring out those things. When I think about them and when I think about what it means to me, when I think about these actors, and I mean, we've been starting to lose some of them recently too. I mean, Victor Wong has been dead for 24 years. But James Hong has been going strong. He is in his 90s.
Yeah, was he 94, I think?
Yeah.
Still doing stuff. Rain, we did just lose, who was played by Peter Kwong. Who after this did a bunch of stuff, was actually really big in the Screen Actors Guild and as acting, a representative in industry and stuff like this, especially for Asian American actors. So it's a shame, as always, when we start to lose people, but it's one of those where we get to go back and be like, wow, so many of these people did so many things after this. This was like the springboard for so many people, even though at the time it didn't hit the same. But again, what is this? Summer of '86? Isn't that when Aliens came out? How are you competing with Aliens?
No, I mean, in the Golden Child.
Oh yeah, where you also get to see this little team up of awesome Asian actors.
We also lost. She's not in this movie very long. We did lose Min Luong. She was at the beginning of the movie in the airport when she's the one that Kim Cattrall, I think, was trying to bring.
Was picking up. Yeah.
She passed too. She was in one of my favorite childhood movies that I did review a long time ago called Gleaming the Cube.
Oh my God, Christian Slater, yeah.
Yeah, she was the girl. She was the I think the girlfriend of his brother who dies in that movie, and then they kind of make a connection. And she also passed. You know, it sucks when, like, I didn't even know. I hate that I follow all this other stuff and all these other people, they just kind of slip through the cracks. And that's what I mean is I just, you know, I really appreciate all these people that are in this movie. So now that we've like definitely greased the wheels of our love of this movie and everything, and I mean, we're both wearing the shirts, we both have the tank tops, he's got the lipstick on, we both have quotes in our instead of our names, we've got a background from the movie, the overlays are showing all our love. But before we get into all of the scenes and the things we love, we did want to talk about some of the actors and things that went along with this. I'm talking about Victor Wong. You're talking about James Hong, but I also think you also do.
I got a little bit on the Storms and some of the stunt players.
Okay.
One of which I was very honored as a young stunt performer to get to work with myself. So I'll save that story when we get to it. But yeah,
let's go ahead and start like talking about these actors. And since I've been yammering for a while, I'll pass it over to you, and then I'll pop back over to talk about my dude.
Sure. Well, I mean, you covered a lot of stuff from James Hong already, who has been, I mean, doing this, but he's 94 years old. He's been doing this for over 70 years. He's got over 400 production credits to his name. The guy started out in the 50s doing the New Adventures of Charlie Chan. He worked on Bonanza, one of the old Westerns. He's, you know, Kung Fu, the original movie series with David Carradine. Then, of course, he had gotten into films. This, I think, was certainly one of his biggest, but also was doing Golden Child with Victor Wong also, which was, to me, just one of those blast enjoyment things when you're watching movies. You're like, these two guys are back playing very different characters, which is just kind of the fun range you get to see with people. And he's been in everything. He's been in every TV show. He even shows up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as May's dad, which is just like, I mean, that's like nerd heaven right there. So, and yeah, like you said, he finally got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He is still working. And, you know, behind the scenes, he has done a lot of work. He's got his own theater troupe, working a lot of young Asian actors, really big representation behind the scenes. So, I mean, this is a guy who's been in the business, constantly works, and has nothing but an excellent reputation to work with. I have never heard anybody say anything negative or even just plain about James Hong. And it's just one of those wonderful guys you get to see all the time. The Storms, we had Carter Wong was playing Thunder, who was like from China. The guy was doing like films long before he came over here. He is the real deal. He had like over 60 films to his credits, including starring in The Fatal Flying Guillotine which as a kid was one of those Kung Fu Theater Sundays movies to watch. And I think that's where I recognize him. So when I saw him in this movie, it was like, I know that guy. And that was kind of the great thing about a lot of the actors and stunt people that Carpenter got to come and work on this production. Rain, plays by Peter Kwong, who we just talked about, who unfortunately recently passed. Lightning was, I just screwed up. I can't even read my writing. That's horrible. But God, why did I scratch that out? That's so weird.
It's James Pax.
James Pax, thank you. I'm like, what am I even looking at here? Sorry, I have horrible scratchy writing when I'm distracted, and obviously this is when I was trying to make these notes. But Pax is kind of weird. That guy was kind of almost like a Renaissance guy. He started off doing singing. He got into finance for a number of years, made some good money, was going into modeling, and that's sort of when he auditioned for Big Trouble in Little China, which was his first, I think, acting role. And then he went on to do a whole bunch of just little small stuff, nothing really big, but he is still out there. I think he's gone back and done a lot of stuff back in China now. I think that's mostly where he's been doing a lot of his more recent work. And then, like I said, the stunt team, James Liu is one of the he's got one of the exec producer credits. He was the stunt fight coordinator on this, played one of the Ching Sings. He was the one that was like, yeah, exactly. But the guy's like, he's speaking the English. He's like, dude, what's up with this guy? Anyway, he's with a stunt team called Stunts Unlimited. They're a huge SAG production stunt team, done tons of little films. My little connection story is that I did a film long ago called Ring of Steel. It was one of my first film productions. I was doing, I was assistant fight coordinator on that. And James came in to do one of the fights. I had nothing to do with this fight. You don't James Liu comes in and does what James Liu wants. And he and actually the lead actor really put together a nice little fight that I just was geeking out, sitting on the side, watching all of this happen. And for a while, I actually had a nice picture of him and I from the rap party of that, which unfortunately I lost not too long afterwards in a fire. So, yeah, you know, it's the little things like that that hurt your heart. You don't even think until afterwards, like, no, those things. But yeah, James Liu is just one of those like classic stunt guys. You see him tons of things. But the real guy from this is Jeff Amata. Jeff Amata played Needles. He was the guy with the thin glasses that picked up the during the airport heist. Yeah, exactly. This, I think, was the first production that he worked with John Carpenter. He just came in as one of the stunt guys, but he was always like looking at the camera and talking there and going into this and having real conversations and really building a lot of the action and set pieces that went into this, such that after this movie, he became the fight stunt coordinator for John Carpenter on all the rest of his films. I think he started what it was on They Live right afterwards. And yeah, starting with They Live, and then from every film afterwards, he was the stunt coordinator on it. Jeff, again, a legend. The Jason Bourne movies, he's the fight coordinator on that. He's the one that put all those fight things together. He worked with Brandon Lee for ages before Brandon passed away, trained with Dan Inosanto. Had also trained with Bruce Lee, his dad. So he's got real deal training, and he has been pushing his butt and making movies and making them look awesome for 40 years now. And he is still working, which is just kind of astounding. And then the only other name that, of course, I can really throw out there, and he needs no name for anybody who has watched any action movie ever in the history of cinema, and that is Al Leong. Al Leong is in this film as he is in every other one with that big Fu Manchu mustache. He is the henchman. If you ever look at it like, who's that guy who's always the henchman with everything? That's Al Leong. He was like in every action movie through the 80s and the 90s and, still popping up here and there. I don't think he's still working anymore. But yeah, I just always have to give props to Al Leong. He is probably the first stunt guy that we ever knew whose name he was because he was that prolific.
Yep, the guy from Die Hard, the guy from Lethal Weapon, like it. And I mean, come on, Die Hard. He's the guy who takes the Snickers bar. He gets. I mean,
I know that's such little thing.
It's such a classic moment of that movie of just like, even terrorists have to, you're not you when you're hungry, and he needed to be him. He had to grab that Snickers bar, man. You know who else was in this movie? Somebody that I talked about a lot over like a 6 month period or so, a few months period when I was talking about the Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
Which is Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. It's dang it, I had his name right here. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Oh, Cary Tagawa's in this. Wow.
Yeah, but it just says he's one of the Wing Kong.
Okay.
So he's just, again, these great actors just taking the role that they can get, like in the background. I mean, that guy has had an amazing career. Again, people talk about Shang Tsung, right, from Mortal Kombat. Your soul is mine.
Oh, he was so perfect in that.
But like in the Man in the High Castle, man, when that to me, his performance in that as the guy who figured out how to, or he suddenly could transport himself to another time period where things weren't, as bad and shit. Mm-hmm. It was like, it just shows that given the material, given the chance, any of these actors could be great big giant stars. Like he's in the background of Big Trouble in Little China, and then near the end, he's in one of the most dramatic, powerful series of all time. And if you haven't watched The Man in the High Castle, I don't like using the term "it's more relevant now than ever" because things are always relevant.
But I would imagine so.
Okay, the problems that we have now are getting we're experiencing things for ourselves in this country that are new to us, but have been going on around the world forever. So saying that is silly to me, but it is very relevant to right now. If you're an American, watch The Man in the High Castle. Good Lord, you want that to happen here? It's kind of starting. Anyway, on my side of things, because I tried to look up Dennis Dunn. He's a businessman. He did this movie.
Yeah, he did this in a handful of shows and bits the 80s, and then And
I'm sorry that I talked about James Hong. I thought I didn't know that the James Hong stuff I was covering things that you had already.
Oh no, man, go for it. Yeah.
Well, the reason because I thought you might do what I'm about to do, which is it's a lot, but that's just me. But I also wanted to bring up James Hong again because he was also another big movie that he got was Everything Everywhere All at Once recently.
Right.
But anybody who's watched my channel at any given point, if you pop in and out and you catch this or that or the other, there's one through line that will remain constant. It's the X-Files connections. We've got two of them here, right? We've got at least two of them here, right? Jerry Harden at the beginning of this movie, and James Hong, who is in a season 3 episode called Hell Money, where he plays a guy who's like the head of a. If you haven't seen the X-Files, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a 30-year-old episode, so get on it. But he plays a guy who's like working in a casino, like a gambling for other people you can win a bunch of money or you could lose some organs. And that also has wow, I am forgetting his name. The other really great actor, Mr. Robot, Jurassic Park. Why can't I remember his name? The scientist from Jurassic Park and White Rose. White Rose from Mr. Robot.
Yes. B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong is also in that Hell Money episode. And Lucy Liu. And a whole bunch of other people. But it always connects to the X-Files. And when I saw him on the X-Files, I was like, Lopan! Lopan's in the X-Files! He's just one of those guys that when you see him, you go, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. When he walks in, when you hear his voice off camera, when you hear his voice in an animated something, you're just like, yes, it's him. But so Dennis Dunn, though, he's a businessman. And I tried looking up other people, and they really didn't have that much going on. But I'm tackling Victor Wong, the guy below me right here. And we'll talk about the beginning scene with Jerry Hardin when we sit and properly talk about this movie. But Victor Wong was born over 100 years ago. Okay, he was born in July 30th, 1922. So we're talking about a guy who he did die September 12th, 2001, the day after 9/11. Okay, this guy he's literally, we're talking about an over 100-year-old actor here. This is amazing to talk about. Victor Wong, who plays Egg Chen and a bunch of other parts throughout the years. When I first saw him in this movie do the thing with his hands, I was like, ooh, this is going to be a good movie. Like, I didn't even know who Jerry Hardin was back then. You know, I was like, who's this guy? Who's this suit behind the desk when Egg Chen is defending the hero of this movie and then showing magic. But I took some time, and yeah, I didn't just hit the Wikipedia or anything. I looked up a bunch of stuff and then compiled it together because I didn't want to just talk about their acting career. I wanted to talk about who they were as people, because I love my character actors. The character actors are what make your heroes and your main characters and your big old stars, make their movies better. And if you don't have good character actors, your movies are garbage. Okay. Right. But he was a journalist, first off, born in San Francisco. He lived in Chinatown. So, I mean, he's sitting there on the tour bus. He's giving a history lesson to the people in the movie. He is history. He lived it. 1922. So he studied. I mean, he even has a connection to where in my area, he studied theology at the University of Chicago. Right? He studied journalism and theology at the University of Chicago. He was at Second City. The JFK death was his inspiration for getting into journalism, where he won regional Emmys for news until 1974, when he was stricken with Bell's palsy, which you can see if you see him, you go, he seems a little off. It's because he had that for the majority. Well, think about this. He lived over 50 years without it. So the majority of his life, he was fine. And then and he wasn't an actor really. He was doing news and all that. And then he is actually the inventor of the photojournalistic essay, which is covering stories with still cameras and narration. So kind of almost like a guy who helped develop documentaries.
That's
period.
awesome.
In studio anyway. He took diminished roles because he didn't look pretty enough. When he started acting in 1980 at the Asian American Theater Company, where he had his film debut in 1984's Din Sum a Little Bit of Heart. So he was also, I do believe that was also where James Hong
did
a lot of work.
Yes.
A lot of them did a work at the Asian American Theater Company. And I'm trying to read my own chicken scratch, by the way. No, I mean, look at that, man. Well, who am I? Like freaking, what's his name? John Doe from Seven here.
Yeah. Well, you got inspired by his journalism past to do a full journalistic dive on him.
And he dealt with issues with historical authenticity. He did a thing that had to do with the issues of historical authenticity of the Last Emperor movie. Director Bernardo Bertolucci same cut movie wins Best Picture. Okay, he retired in 1998 from acting because of a stroke, I believe. Jack Kerouac and him met in the 50s during the Beat Generation.
Oh, man.
In the novel Big Sur, Wong is Arthur Ma. So the inspiration for that character in that book is Victor Wong.
Oh, man, that's
Jack
freaking
Kerouac
cool.
book. In the novel, he was married 4 times. He had 2 daughters and 3 sons. Now here's where it gets even more kind of, wow, what the hell. His son, Leon, Lyon, was killed in 1986. 1986 was when this movie came out. By a man walking home in Sacramento. It was believed to be racially motivated. After filming the prologue scene in Big Trouble, it was shortly after Leon's wake that he had his first stroke. So I guess I'm going to talk about that scene now then, because the scene at the beginning of the movie was something that the studio tacked on.
Right.
At the same time he had to go in and film that scene, his son had just passed. So, and then after they did it, that was when he suffered his first stroke. So this wasn't 98, but it was like when he had another one, that was when he quit.
Right. That was the yeah.
And he died on September 12th after 9/11, worrying about his sons in New York.
Yeah.
Was planning on opening an art gallery tea shop at the time.
Oh my God, he's Uncle from Avatar. Oh, jeez. No, honestly, that 9/11 story, that was the one thing that I knew about, which is just honestly heartbreaking. He is up all night worrying about his sons and then just passes away from worry.
His heart gave out.
Yeah, it's just,
I looked at everything that he did, and I even wrote so I had that, and I got this IMDb list of stuff that is I've never even heard of it. He's been on American Playhouse, Due South, Poltergeist: The Legacy, Midnight Caller, Beauty and the Beast. he did in the 80s. He did Night Songs in 1982. In 85, he was in You're the Dragon and Big Trouble and Shanghai Surprise. And the 85 was You're the Dragon. 86 was Big Trouble in Little China, Shanghai Surprise, and The Golden Child. In 87, The Last Emperor and Prince of Darkness, another Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
In 89, Eat a Bowl of Tea, Life is Cheap, but Toilet Paper is Expensive, and Fatal Vacation. In 1990, he did Solo and Tremors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 91, little movie called Mystery Date with Ethan Hawke. Yeah. I might be the only person who remembers that movie.
Yeah.
92, Three Ninjas and
Oh.
Cage Man. Yep, the Three Ninjas movies. Never saw them, but a bunch of kids got to know who Victor Wong was. That's what I think is cool. Those movies, I had aged out. I didn't need to be a fan of those movies. 93, Ice Runner and the Joy Luck Club. So in another pretty big movie at that time. 94, Three Ninjas Kick Back. 95, Three Ninjas Knuckle Up.
Oh, yeah.
Steve fell on Henrietta and Jade, one of the few Linda Fiorentino movies from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, she was good in Dogma and The Last Seduction, but I didn't like Jade. That's neither here nor there. 96, Devil Takes a Holiday and Paper Dragons. 1997, 7 Years in Tibet and My America, or Honk If You Love Buddha. And then in 98, Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain was his final movie, I believe. And that is my little truncated down story about Victor Wong, who, I mean, in this movie is fucking amazing.
Just so fucking
James
crazy.
Hong is Dracula and Victor Wong is Van Helsing.
Yes, totally.
And you have to have when you have the two of them together, the history that the characters have, we have no context. We get none of that history. We just know there's history. I love it. So thank you for letting me take Victor Wong. I might have had to fight you for that one.
Oh, no, man. I'm glad you did the deep dive that you did.
You know me. I made a 3-hour video about Jeremy Saulnier movies.
Wow. I mean, if you're going to, why do it halfway?
So, okay, that is us covering all of those actors. I mean, yeah, Kurt Russell, I mean, is amazing as ever in this. I can't pull off a mullet. I don't want a mullet. He does it great. The comedic timing that Kurt Russell has had over the years. I haven't liked everything he's in, but he is the perfect anti-hero in this movie. He is Jack Burton. He is the guy in the Pork Chop Express. And it's easy to talk about him. I mean, Kim Cattrall, classically trained Kim Cattrall, who had to be in a bunch of shit like Porky's and Police Academy and Mannequin, and
Oh, geez, yeah.
but when you see her in this movie, you can see where all that training goes. Like she's really good in this. Really, really good. Because she's trying to play serious to a ridiculous situation.
Right.
Plays it straight. She reminds me of one of the reporters from an old movie from a million years ago, not in the kind of the fast talking era, a little bit like that. Gracie Law,
yeah,
attorney at law. I'm doing, she's fantastic in this. And they're basically the two. Yeah, they're the only two white people in this movie. And I mean, I think there's a couple of Jerry Harden at the beginning, but
yeah,
that's it. And they're surrounded by these amazing Asian actors that I mean, whenever they talk about this movie, they talk about them.
yeah. Well, I mean, and to me, that's one of the surprising things, that there was kind of an issue and problem, because one of the things I did do is dive into a little bit on the background on the film and some of the writing, and both the writers and Carpenter had this intense love for Chinese cinema and Hong Kong movies and kung fu movies and all of that, and really wanted to bring. I mean, the inspiration for the original two writers for this was, they're watching Hong Kong movies one night, they're watching this, and they were kind of like shooting some ideas back and forth. And that's when they originally created the original pitch, which was, early 1900s in Hong Kong, with a cowboy named Wiley Prescott, who goes in and joins up the local Chinese to fight the sorcerer Lo Pan, and ends up falling in love and getting connected to I think it was a girl that ran a safe house for Chinese women. And then when Fox had bought this, played with it around for a little bit. And when Silverado, which was a big attempt to jump back into Westerns, did not do well, they brought in W.D. Richter to rewrite this, and he ended up modernizing it. Now, Richter wrote the reboot for Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He had done Brubaker and had directed Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, which was kind of a big cult hit and so on. So the studio had brought him on, and he did, basically a complete rewrite, but keeping all of the tone and story. Change some names, change the characters. The lady who ran the safe house is now the ditzy reporter, but also still doing the safe house for Chinese immigrants. The cowboy is now a trucker named Jack Burton. It's still fighting Lo Pan, and all of the basic beats were the same. They were just, all the dialogue and placements and everything were kind of modified. And to me, this was kind of an interesting dive into it, because when I think of John Carpenter, you kind of think of the same thing like Spielberg, or these big guys that have been around, is that they're doing their own projects, and you don't realize that this is a job for hire. Fox hired John Carpenter to do this script, which they had. It just so happens that he had this great big love for Hong Kong cinema and really wanted to get the authenticity. And that's why there is such a deep cast of Asian actors. I think he was like getting every Asian actor that was in Hollywood at that time that could act and or fight to try and come in. And they spent a lot of time. Again, James Liu was one of the executive producers, and a lot of that is adding that feel, making sure that sense and idea was, and that was one thing that Carpenter really wanted to kind of get on top of. So there was so much love of trying to honestly bring forth this Chinese culture, which all the participants wanted to do in a way that would, satisfy this movie and, deliver to the audience something that, it's like the cast knew, Carpenter knew. Again, this was a work for hire, so it's not like he was sneaking anything by the studio. This was the movie that they wanted. It did not hit because, again, the tone is just, it's not what people were expecting to see. They were expecting this giant, Kurt Russell, John Carpenter action film, and probably getting images of Escape from New York in your head, only with, Chinese and Hong Kong mysteries, and they get what's effectively an action comedy. And I really think that threw, again, so much so that the studio ordered that scene with Victor Wong in the beginning to be added to the film, because they didn't think that Jack Burton was heroic enough. They wanted to add that spice to the beginning of the film, which, especially in multiple rewatches, it totally does not need. You love it because it's got Victor Wong and the guy from the X-Files. But yeah, so kind of fun to trace this from its original inception to where it became, and the idea that, to me, it was like, this wasn't John Carpenter, like, I have this idea. He's just a director that got hired for a job and got the people together to make the kind of movie in the way that he saw it. And I think that's really where Carpenter knocked it out of the park.
I think one of the things I love, and I don't think, I know, one of the things I love about John Carpenter, when you stand back and look at it all, right,
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, because look, Spielberg, look, if you love Spielberg, he has done some amazing work that will stand the test of time, that influenced a lot of other people. I find him to be too schmaltzy. His 70s movies, I think, were his best movies for the most part, with a few shining star moments throughout the last 40 years. I mean, because, I was born when Jaws came out. So, I mean, I've been alive for all of Spielberg's career. I just wasn't old enough to watch all of them. And you got Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese and all these, just really big directors that come out and make these big epics. And I look at their movies and then I think about John Carpenter's movies and I go, I would rather have John Carpenter's, look, I'm sure that he wishes that these movies were all like huge smash successes and everything like that. But I feel like he's the working director. He's like us smaller YouTubers. He's making it because he loves it. He made this movie because he loved this thing. He doesn't. He takes things and he makes stuff that he cares about. Does it the way he wants. To be damned everything else, and they still were allowing him to make movies. And I mean, I look at Halloween, The Escape from New York, The Thing, Big Starman, Big Trouble in Little China. The one that I was saying, the Prince of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. They Live.
Vampires. You look at all these movies and you go, I wish that I had that broad of a catalog. If I were to be a movie maker, that's the kind of career that I would want.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the other people, I go, well, this person kind of keeps making this kind of movie, and this person kind of keeps to this kind of style. And John doesn't do that, and he's such a do-it-yourselfer.
Well, that he does his own music for so many things is like,
and I highly recommend you look up the song that you can hear in the movie Big Trouble in Little China. The video is hilarious. It is so dated, but in the best possible way, because the guy he's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And some of the music is like really good. It's really, really good. Is it John Williams' Star Wars or the theme from the Dark Side? No,
but it is quintessential so much that the opening for Stranger Things reminds you of a John Carpenter soundtrack.
And how many people, including myself, use that font that is in all of John Carpenter's stuff? Because that font means you give a shit. To me, that's why I'm like, I want to have the font of somebody who gives a crap about stuff. And even if maybe it's on a whim and it just stuck and he's like, yeah, this is just what I roll with now, I don't care. To me, I see that font as quality.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to not be mentioned, the film, probably the first John Carpenter movie that I saw that I didn't, but impacted me so much. I remembered the film for years later until I was finally able to track it down, because it has this shot where this little kid gets shot with a shotgun asking for ice cream in the beginning of Assault on Precinct 13, which is like a precursor to, it feels like in many ways, to Escape from New York. A lot of those type of characters that Kurt Russell would perfectly embody start in that film. And if you want to catch some real early John Carpenter with, again, great music. Yeah.
See, Even then, I'm like, oh God, I forgot about that movie. I didn't forget about Ghost of Mars, though. I just didn't
Ghost of Mars. Yeah.
say it because not every movie. I almost left out vampires, but I think vampires has some merit to it. It's very 90s, and it's James Woods. And if you like James Woods more than I do, anyway. But John Carpenter's career, just fantastic. And this is just another example of that. And like the joking, if you haven't listened to the commentary from this movie, which we have several times, it's one of those, this isn't just a nerd thing. This
One
is
of the
just
best commentaries.
Yeah. Like this is what you want to listen to if you listen to commentaries and you get bored listening to somebody talk about their movies. They got bored talking about their movie and went and had a smoke. Okay?
They veer off. I mean, honestly, though, it's great because they talk about the movie, but they veer off into their kids and, playing baseball and the idea between acting and directing. They get into this whole kind of industry stuff, which is just interesting from two real professionals that have just been working actors, working directors for decades, sharing stories. And then you realize that the kid that they're talking about is Wyatt Russell, who of course is, like huge now. So that's just, it's a blast.
And another, like you brought up Assault on Precinct 13. I forgot to bring up that they did Elvis.
Oh yeah, I think that was their first thing that they did together. Yeah,
Kurt Russell played Elvis in a John Carpenter movie. Like what?
It was a TV movie, folks, which is why you may not have caught it on your filmography.
I mean, Jeff
list.
Bridges did the TV version of King Kong, so okay.
No, that was an actual theatrical release.
Was it?
That was a huge one, yeah, because they filmed it with the old Twin Towers, which is a really weird thing to watch now.
Oh, I thought that, you know what? I think I just saw it so long ago, I just assumed it was a TV movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
I think it went to TV fast.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's why. All right. So we've gone on and on and on about other things, but now it's time to actually talk about the meat of the movie, the scenes and the things that you see that you love and quote and say all the time. Beginning again with that first scene, which again, Barry Diller, head of Fox at the time, didn't understand this and thought that this needed to be in there because American audiences wanted to make sure that they knew that Kurt Russell was the hero, even though everybody else knew in the production that he wasn't, including Kurt Russell, including Dennis Dunn, who, I mean, can you imagine being Dennis Dunn saying, guess what, dude? By being told by the director that his big star is not the star. You're the star. You're the hero. This guy over here is your sidekick, which is one of the most genius things in any movie ever to be done. To flip the script on who's the hero and who's not, making the guy, he's not incompetent. He's just in over his head. Yeah. He is a blowhard. He is a big shit talker. But anyway, to get back to before we get into all that, the first scene, Jerry Hardin, Deep Throat from the X-Files. I mean, first off, the movie starts with the narration over the 20th Century Fox logo. I love that when they break with tradition of things. There's no dun 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 dun. No, it is immediately Jerry Hardin saying, I need to know about Jack Burton. Like we need to you need to break it down for me. What exactly happened? Now, even though this scene is not necessary, I still love it.
It's still great.
Still great but you can see when where it would have just started with the road, right? And him just being down that road. And it's tragic thinking that Victor Wong was in there having to perform right after his son had just died, right? But he still gave this amazing little performance sitting in there and defending Jack Burton to this suit. We don't even know who this suit is.
Yeah.
We don't know what agency he's from or why he's like just being, like, but it's again, it screams like when people say nowadays reshoots. We didn't know this was a reshoot.
No, I didn't know for years. It still totally fits in with the film.
It totally fits in, even though it's not necessary that to explain to the American. It didn't help either. It didn't even help. But it did make the movie more fun because it tells us right up front, you leave Jack Burton alone. Jack Burton helped a lot of people. and
magic.
Dude, this would be the moment where I would love if I could just put special effects between my fingers right now. You're gonna have to learn how to do that. See, I've been, I'm slow on learning things, but I'm catching up. That's why my videos all look like they're from 12 years ago, because I'm still making stuff from that time because I got a 40-hour week job.
Yeah.
That's so whenever I do something that somebody did a long time ago, I'm like, but I learned it though. I did. But I won't do that. I won't. I'm gonna make myself not, because I have a feeling I could figure it out. But yeah, just starting out, like I just saying, everything starts from something small, and then just boom, right into the John Carpenter's, the score of this movie. I mean, it's such a, like, when I think about, because for me it was The Thing and then Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah,
it's such huge differing tones of like the very quiet Ennio Morricone, boom, 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 just minimal and scary, to just turn it down. Here comes a trucker driving down the road, and just it gives this whole scene gives us everything we need to know about Jack Burton.
Oh yeah, the opening is so quick and establishes everything, which is nice. His blowhardness, the fact that he's just what he is, and then his whole connection with Dennis and gambling till dawn and drinking and Pai Gow, by the way, I believe is what they are playing. And to do a little dive in for different Chinese games. Because it looks like they play a few different things when they're on there, but I think the final one thing when they're playing with the dominoes is Pai Gow.
Yeah, let's see what I. Oh, okay. I wrote down for some reason the Jaques, the CB radio. All right, I do want to just bring this up. CB radios, and there was this whole trucking thing. That, like, the Convoy movie and everything that happened, there was always a ad and everything else. But I was thinking about the CB radio and him just driving down everywhere he goes, just talking, giving his opinion on this, giving his opinion on that. So, like, have you paid your dues and all these things. I was thinking about, this is like the first kind of internet troll with like before internet trolls, there were guys driving all across. There's guys driving all across the country talking shit that you can pick up if you have a TV radio. And there have been plenty of people that have gotten into big trouble messing with CB radios and saying things on CB radios. So before the internet, there was CB radios that got people into trouble.
It's the only way you could reach out to anyone out. Unless you had a pirate radio station, was your CB radio. And
another cool thing about Jack is that he's cool with everybody. He does not care who you are. When he talks about his friend, when he's sitting there and they start to get a little, he's getting a little mad and he's like, hey, we're all just good Americans here.
A couple of Californians here.
Californians, racial differences aside, he does not care. Jack is cool. He is not one of these guys that is just, he's an everyman, which means it doesn't just mean that he's, everyman white guy. He is the kind of person you want to be and want to have as a friend. Wherever he goes, he makes friends. He probably makes enemies too, but guess what? So does everybody. And I love all of that. I mean, the way that he just can join in with a group of people, and he does not care. He's not sitting there making fun of anybody. If he loses, he loses. If he wins, he wins. And the care that he has for his friend, yeah, he wants his money, but at the same time, he's like concerned about him. There is always that undercurrent of, like the big gag of Jack just wants his truck. Jack just wants his money. But he sticks around for his people. And it's not just because of that truck,
Right. He'll use that as an excuse. And he'll use the $1,148 times 2.
Which I love how I don't know how they, again, practical effects and everything, just the hitting of the bottle. And again, foreshadowing as hell.
Oh, yeah.
All from the reflexes. And it just, but you don't, like, if you're not really, like, before, I learned what foreshadowing even was, I wouldn't have known that was something that I would know now to look at as, oh, they just established this. That
tossed
means
it away in the first 5 minutes and save it until the end. Yeah.
Because it's the last heroic thing he's going to do. It's the last, like, legit cool thing that he means to, shows his skill. And that's the last time he has any real skills until the end of the movie. Where Jack Burton's big superpower is he's got great reflexes.
Yeah.
And this is where we go to our airport, where we start to get into the stunts and other things. More great comedy where we're introduced to Kim Cattrall's Gracie Law. I love that at this airport, like, he just knows, oh, that's Gracie Law. They're at the airport. He just, like, they run.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's trouble, Jack. Like, yo, we just know her. Like, everybody just knows each other in the airport. And so we get the whole thing with the green eyes. We don't know that Gracie Law also has green eyes at this time. The big kidnapping happens, and this is a really cool scene because you got a lot of people in there. It's quick and fast, and again, the pace of this movie, like, goes. It's one of those movies where you sit down to watch it, you blink, it's over.
Right.
You can, and how, like, when we were talking about how many times we've watched this and we're taking notes, and we just, the way it moves, you're like, you just get lost in it. You forget, oh crap, I should have been writing this stuff down.
Well, and it's one thing that I've noticed with a lot more of films, and admittedly I want to watch a lot of TVs and series, and TV's got more time to do these things, but you would find that a lot of these scenes would be a lot more bloated with dialogue and setup, and even the action sequence would be bigger and larger, where this is just direct. Is the goal is pick up the girlfriend, and gang comes in, steals girl, runs away because they're going to sell. It's like, this doesn't need to be big. You just very quick establish stuff and move on. And I think that that's something that's kind of lost now, is there's like almost a need to over-explain everything that's going on. Whereas this film really does. It explains what it needs to, but it's like, and we'll get on the rest as we go because we've got a movie to finish.
Yeah, it is not wasting time or money. They just keep on moving the pace. And I loved the camera work that they do in the garage. This was like the Sam Raimi shot.
That big reverse shot that they film all backwards and then run it so it looks like the car's coming to them. Oh yeah, no, that looks really cool.
Which leads us to the chase where, hey, Puma used to deliver shoes on the highway. You know what I mean? There used to be Puma trucks on the road. I don't think I've ever seen a sneaker truck on the road. I don't even think I've seen a Nike truck on the road. There was a Puma truck on that road. We get into, like, where just immediately shit hits the fan.
Right.
Like, it goes from 0 to 100. We've already gotten the nice, easy breezy. We're having fun as friends. You owe me some money. Let's go to this airport to pick up my girl. Things go sideways. We're on the chase.
Oh, yeah.
No calling cops. No getting the cops involved. In fact, there's no cops in this movie. It's just people having an adventure. It's like the Goonies for adults.
Cops got better things to do than get killed. That's the one thing that they use and throw it away, and that's awesome.
And we get this like really great tight set with this where the semi goes in, and you're like, my goodness, how are you even going to get this truck out of here? And this is where Jack is introduced to the magical world that Dennis Dunn's character, he's doesn't even blink an eye. This is all stuff that they all know. Wang, I should say his name is Wang. I keep saying Dennis Dunn. This is like stunt work and everything that you've experienced in your life. Like, what do you think of this scene as far as like stunt work goes? Because this is amazing.
This is a phenomenal piece. And again, I mean, you got so many things going on. You got different styles. The action is awesome. You got people being thrown into glasses, into the storefronts, and then and then jumping back out. It's kind of everything. I mean, and again, especially as someone that raised on a lot of Sunday afternoon kung fu theater, old Hong Kong movies, this was just an astounding kind of like, oh my God, it's happening here right now. And then you get the storms come in with all of the magical stuff that happens in Lo Pan. I mean, it's like, it just throws one thing on top of another. It's the gunfight, then it's the kung fu fight, and then it's the magical fight, and then we got to get out of here. And honestly, the fact that after all that, when he pops up and he's just like, that's it, I'm going home, you keep your money. It's the perfect thing. Because again, it's where you add all that action and you get that human twist, because that's what almost 99% of the people would say at that situation. Like, I'm out of here. What is this? And it's the total non-action thing to do. But of course, he's already in it too much and the action just continues, which is, great. You have your moment of doubt, but it's too late. You're sucked in. You have to go. So no, I mean, this is one of those early 80s, like, honest fights where you see the action in other movies and they're big American action stuff. And then you see this and you're like, this is the fighting that I want to see. So no, this was...
I mean, it escalates. When they say that this escalated quickly,
it really does.
I mean, it's a funeral that they're trying to have a funeral, and then the other gang shows up and just like, he's just like, what is this? Oh my God. Like, you see the guys coming from the sides of the truck and you're like, uh-oh. And yeah, the way it just goes from gunfire to like, then switches to like to hand, and then we get our three like gods. I don't know, like,
yeah,
these guys are like from fucking Asgard. Like,
and our hero is sitting there with this tiny boot knife that he just pulled out, and like, that's his thing.
And I loved hearing about the costume design and everything in this. They really wanted to make it authentic as hell. These guys all brought different personalities. They all look different. Their weird ass weapons in this scene is the only thing that I'll go, what?
Yeah,
one guy's got like two back scratchers. Look at my spinning forks, like it. And then just their whole coordinated where they go to throw and jump and then throw, like,
so over the top,
out of nowhere, like how they all just whoosh, they freaking Batman themselves up over the truck, and then there's David Lo Pan in all his glory, just standing there, and then just gets creamed. They show it. I know it's a dummy, but I mean, when I was a kid and I saw that, I was like, wham! He gets hit like a motherfucker. I was like, holy crap. And then he just is up. And you're like, oh no.
He doesn't get up. He's just up.
Yeah, he's just boom. And then everything goes glowy. Don't look at it. Do it. I already looked. And yeah, then it's a chase to get the hell out of there. And we get a little more background. It's like they find like a quiet moment to just give a little bit of exposition so that we move on to the next thing, right? Where Jack's trying to find his way out, talking to his insurance company. Like how regular, normal.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
we're dealing with magic and things that we have no idea about, and he's just trying to get his like yeah, it's insured. Well, of course it's insured. And we get
Don't have
introduced
my policy number. It's in the glove compartment.
Let's see. This is an old joke, but when Gracie at the airport, when she's like, says that it's Miller time, because of how he smells.
Well, the banter they get going in this film, I think, is one of those real naturalistic things that carries so much. That it takes a few viewings, but you're still catching little comments and things that are going on in the background, and little like, this character's response to what Jack Burton is saying, and this is that. I think the timing, and this is, I think, where the comedy really shows up and really shows everybody's contribution, is how they're able to just effortlessly bounce ideas back and forth and really keep the scene going and keep the energy going.
And this is also where we're introduced to Donald Lee, who plays Eddie Lee.
Yeah.
The maitre d', who seems to know everything. He's just a guy in the restaurant, but he's there to just. This is where we get like an even bigger picture of the story going on, like for other characters. Like Gracie Law is in this movie to stop human trafficking.
Yeah.
This is, like she's taken by him for this weird sorcery shit, but any other day, this is what's happening to people. Is there being, this is a big topic. It's been a big topic for years. We let things get sidelined, but this is very, very topical. And it just kind of, again, it doesn't overtake the movie by any means, but it just shows like the people in this movie have stakes in things. They believe in things, and her being there to like try to stop this from happening it is great addition to her backstory. We get Kate Burton as Margot, the reporter who wants to also help Gracie Law with the human trafficking and civil rights. This is all like, oh, I forgot. There is a third white person in this movie then. Yeah. Kate Burton. I forgot. And so as everybody starts to come together and they have to make their decision, and they have to go to where the girls are. Like Gracie knows like how this goes. Like, where do these girls go before they disappear? This is where they're going to find her at a brothel, because guess what? That's the way this shit goes in real life. They bring them to places, they hide them out, and then in the middle of the night, they get sent to all parts unknown by a bunch of rich billionaire cocksuckers.
Usually, yeah.
Except in this movie, we're going to handle it a little bit differently, and we're going to send Kurt Russell in as... I love that this would be the choice that Jack makes of the person to go in undercover as to get a prostitute.
Henry Swanson, and excitement is Henry Swanson's my name, and excitement is my game.
And it's just so freaking absurd is that in the middle of all this, again, the Three Storms attack. And it's 2 punches, right? He goes to hit the guy, he hits him twice, and then I wrote 2 punches and then acceptance. He's just like, oh no, I am effed in the A right now. He just gets popped, but they still don't kill him. He's like an ant to them. Like, he's meaningless. He's just
not even worthy of concern.
We don't have to step you. We just come in. Just get this gnat out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's but this keeps moving fast. And then, so after their defeat, this is the scene that a lot of other people would know, is that this was when Kurt Russell was like really sick.
Yeah, sick as a dog, as they say.
Sick as a dog, as he's come back here, and you can just, it's perfect for the character who has now just been like, He's lost everything. He even said, like, he didn't want the money anymore. He's still going, and then he just gets his ass handed to him again, and now he's just really not wanting to be a part of any of this. So the illness actually helped this scene's performance, I think.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, even at the end, you're right, because I think this is where the challenge comes, where he's dedicated to, and now that he's got knocked down twice, he's like, well, now I've got to get back into it. Was it Dennis Dunn or Wang does the, my mind and spirit are as one. It's like, I said as two, I said that I'm coming. You're right. He is the guy that doesn't step away. Even he's gotten his ass kicked. He's been thrown across the room. He's still willing to get back up and, do what has to be done.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, 99% of the people, reasonable people, seeing unreasonable things, seeing things that would break your brain, like still sticking around. Now we get to where we see more of Lo Pan here, and I one of the things I think is really cool about Lo Pan is when they talk about him, right? As the other characters are talking about him, this guy that no one's seen forever, like a Howard Hughes type. Guy's been around forever, banking, got a lot of money. I mean, it feels like when you look at him as the old man, you're like, I wonder how much of Howard Hughes did they think, like, what if Howard Hughes was like some ancient, like
sure, easy eccentric to pull off of right there. Yeah.
And how he's tied to all these things, like this person who's been around forever, and how does he stay in the shadows and still be able to, like, people don't know, like, where he comes from, how old he is, by all this mystery. And again, very Dracula, like this, like, guy who just nobody, it's whispers about. People know he exists. Is he alive? Is he dead? Nobody knows. And just, I love how, like, James Hong breaks it down to its most simple is, like, I'm just a guy looking for a girlfriend. Like, I have been on this earth. I've been cursed to live in this body, and I take other people to occasionally de-age myself, which seems to it's probably one of those things where diminishing returns. The more he does it, the worse it probably gets. The less time he gets, kind of like a drug, where it's just never enough. And until you can actually, because didn't he say that he's had like more? Is this not the first time he's tried?
Oh yeah.
And so he literally is just this horrible guy who wants a girl. And what I think is interesting is that he's like got all these powers. He's basically, he's immortal. But to find a woman would mean that he's not immortal anymore, that he can be killed, but that he's built up over the years, kind of like Vandal Savage from like DC, this like guy who's lived forever and has just amassed a fortune where he could, after becoming mortal, he might die someday, but could also be a threat to the entire world, not with magic, but just with his finances and his resources. And that in some fashion, it's like he's more powerful as he is before he finds love finds the girl of his green-eyed dreams. But then, like, he's a double threat. And I just think that it's just a very human thing, as Hong has put it, even in the most effed up way that it is. Comes from a place of very much a human need to connect with someone, even though it's twisted and messed up.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, if we're going to jump all the way forward
I'm just saying, like, I'm just bringing up him as a whole, not
as a whole.
Like,
yeah.
As a whole.
And in fact, I did actually, good, so we don't jump forward quite yet, that the scene where Kurt Russell was all sick that we were talking about in our referral, one of the, I don't know, to me, it really works, though it's also like such obvious exposition is the back and forth with, when they're talking about the Wing Kong exchange, the most dangerous place where all these people are. And she's explaining, and the other girl's like, "You mean David Lopan, the David Lopan who hasn't been?" Where it's like so literal exposition, but it's one of those where like it actually works for the characters and in this stage and in this film and just the tone of it. That a character would come in and literally just give exposition in some character way, and then we just move on with it. It's like it's just one of those funny things. Every time I see it, I'm like, "Wow, such obvious exposition." But it works, and we get the information we need, and then we immediately move on. Then we head to the Wing Kong exchange where,
Yes.
some fast talking and a disconnected phone will apparently get you far.
So it's their first attempt at going in there, and as he says, like, what does Wang say? He's just like, yeah, like sneak in like the wind, and no one will ever know that we're there. Yes, I can, because my spirit, my mind are all like this. And then as soon as they get there, he's just like, no, it's not. And we're like, what are you talking about? I thought you said. Their banter and their chemistry is like, we always talk about the great duos and things, and a lot of those duos, maybe we talk about them because they usually get sequels, and they get to be, have 3 or 4 movies to be pals together. We get one movie with these two guys, and I think they're an underrated pair as far as like buddy, like cop friend adventurers, that just play so well off of each other. Of like, the one guy super capable, the other guy, he knows what he knows, and how they just get in over their heads immediately, and we are introduced
Literally.
we are introduced to all these other new things, like the underwater, the hell. Like, I love how these aren't literal hells. These are just things that people make that would be like, oh, the hell of this and the hell of that. There's all these hells, and
The hell of the upside down sinners.
oh my gosh, what a terrible, like, that was such a great and awful underwater acting. No thanks. I don't mind water that much, but that's some horrible crap. But it was really great visually, as they make their way through this place where they run into, is it Thunder?
Yeah, it is Thunder, yeah.
Who gets them, and we get the great chair sequence of him flying back into the chair and then jumping up. I don't know why I thought that was the coolest thing in the world when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's a nice forced perspective scene.
Another one where they roll. It's done backwards, right? Another one that did that.
It's a flat surface.
Oh, that's
it's forced
right.
Perspective. So they built the set so it looks, so they could shoot it and looks like it's at an angle, but it's actually all flat. So he's just going down towards an edge. So yeah, no, it's a lot of good basic camera tricks that they use very effectively in here.
And
is that? No, that's after the big scene, because that's when they escape. When they do that big forced perspective, the fallback, they show it initially, but we get the low pan Jack Burton scene before we get that forced perspective, which is like my favorite scene in the whole movie, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. I mean, there's a lot of great scenes and moments in this, but the back and forth between Lopan and Jack Burton here is just perfect, because I think that, again, this is where you get that tonality which works so well. Is you have the mystical, magical, ancient, Chinese kind of like awe. And he's talking like, well, you know how it is when men and women, sometimes things don't work out right. Oh, this really pisses me off. And no, I mean, it's like he's talking so normally. And Jack's like, yeah, and defend the universe from beyond the grave. Indeed. Or go leave into a psycho ward, whatever comes first, huh? I mean, it's like his just not accepting this at all.
Yeah.
Between that and Lopan's just like, yeah, he's ancient, but he talks like an old guy from around now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's such modern language and tone. It's just I mean, it's so disarming.
Yeah,
I love
what's the
this scene.
what's the exact line? You were not put on this earth to get it, Mr. Button.
Shut up, Mr. Burton. You will not put upon this world to get it.
There you go.
Which, I mean, honestly, I use like all of these phrases like regularly in my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I want to use the or check into a psycho ward, whichever comes first, huh? I'm waiting for the opportunity to use that in
You've
my
got the bullet
life.
loaded. You've been carrying around that bullet in that
Oh,
gun
yeah.
for a really long time.
For 40 years.
Oh,
And
yeah.
one of these days,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get to use it.
There's one that I won't say here, but I don't know if I care. There's a line from I don't know if it was originally from a Mr. Show with Bob and David.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a line where they say, "I don't come down to where you work and slap the dick out of your mouth." I've been walking around with that bullet for a while myself. Sorry
Yeah.
if that's a little crude, everybody, but just like the half-baked scene when the guy quits.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another one that everybody wants to be able to say at some point to somebody.
F you, you're cool.
You're cool. F you, I'm out. No, that scene is great. You're right. The way he just talks like a regular person amidst all of this stuff. I mean, and we'll get to it because how he reacts to certain things is interesting, but it shows like how he survived, how he's lived this long. He's been around and not been around. He wouldn't be able to do this if he was just some ancient, like, I mean, he actually seems to be more like acclimated than say like Dracula is. Like Dracula can't get past his whole thing in his past. That's the problem with him, is he's stuck in the past.
He's emo.
He's way too emo. This guy, he's like an energy vampire in a way. So we get tons of stunts. They get out, but Kim Cattrall is captured on the way out. Oh, and all the funny scenes in here. It just like opens the door, closes the door. We might be trapped.
Oh,
they're the one. Yeah, like you said, you're carrying around all these things. This movie is so quotable that I could just sit here and we could spend another half an hour just talking about this line, this line, this line, this line, all the subtle lines, all the looks. Like this, I wish that they would re-release this movie and everybody was forced to go see it just so it would become a critical success after the fact, or a financial success after the fact. I mean, it's got to have made its money back by now, right?
I mean, probably not according to Hollywood bookkeepers, because no film ever makes money. But yeah, you would think. I mean, and that's the thing with all of Carpenter's stuff is, if it wasn't a hit then, it becomes a cult hit. You know, The Thing, not big when it comes out, now is considered one of the best sci-fi horror movies ever made,
if not one of the best movies.
Yeah.
Period.
This wasn't a big hit, has a certain cultural life afterwards than this. It's even a lot of things like I think Prince of Darkness and things like that. In the Mouth of Madness, there's another one that we kind of forgot all about. I mean, he's got a lot, but that's it. When you get these established stuff, eventually somebody looks back and they're like, well, fuck, we got to remake Assault on Precinct 13. Maybe a little worse, but look at these great things that we can do. I mean, Ghosts of Mars was not, again, another big hit, but it's got to be one of those like replay movies. I can't even say how many times I rewatched that film, on cable or rentals or something, because it's like, oh, it's on, it's watchable. And that's like all of Carpenter's stuff. It comes on, you just get pulled into it.
Did he also do The Village of the Damned?
I think so.
The one with the little white-haired kids?
Yeah. I'd have to double check, but
I just
think so, Yeah, because he had his whole like apocalyptic trilogy and such, which was like Prince the Damned and In the Mouth of Madness, and that might have been one of them.
So to get back into the movie, Kim Cattrall is taken by a man in a suit, a man in a real like.
That's
he
a
looks
stink suit, man. Yeah.
like a guy in a monkey suit got microwaved or something. Like an orangutan got microwaved and like worked on in a lab. This you have to have this kind of thing in here. I don't care if it doesn't look great. It didn't look great then, but it's still like it's
between this and the giant eye, which is also totally ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's the magical world where you see these ridiculous things.
Yeah. But they escape. And this is the part where I recently discovered this for myself. Is when they all go back and they have to have their, they meet at the restaurant and Egg Shen shows up. That's where you get the whole, who is this guy? What does he think he is? Like, where, you get the big, giant, dirty, hairy gun that Egg Shen just pulls out. Here you go. You can feel like Dirty Harry in the, I think I'm good with these. But they go to Egg Shen's place, his actual place. And that's the first time I realized that that's the Ghostbusters firehouse.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that until more recent, too.
I was like, holy. As soon as they pan out, I was like, there's a fire pole in here. That kind of makes me think of, and then they show the front, and I'm like, this is the Ghostbusters firehouse. This is amazing. So not only is this a good movie, but it actually is tied to another great movie just from the set. And I just like, because they're not even the same studio, right? This is Fox. Ghostbusters is Columbia.
Yeah.
Columbia TriStar. So, but somehow they got the same set. And I looked it up to make sure I wasn't like out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, like I said, all these years later, still finding great things to see in this movie. And we get our cool little drug scene, I guess. I don't know. It's time to drink a little something special. And
well, you get the whole wandering through the underworld first.
Yes.
Which is great. You will come out no more. What?
Yeah. Okay, that special effect looked great. That looked really cool. It's just there and gone, kills a guy. And like the blood of the earth. What do you mean, oil? I mean the blood of the earth. Like, oh, great. What happens if I fall in that?
Yeah, you just get this mystical underground that's underneath Chinatown for some reason.
And they're all just like, yeah, this is where we go, every once in a while, just to hang out, Just every scene is just another awesome thing. But then they take their drink, and we have the hilarious elevator scene that goes on just long enough. Just long enough, man. Where it's like, is it getting hot in here? Is it just me?
Well, I love they're all broing out, and Victor Wong sitting there as Egg Chen, like the old guy, like these fucking young people, man.
Yeah.
They're just always like, yeah.
Yeah, he's taking it, and he's cool, man. He's been around, and he's just like, yeah, and they're all just like, yeah, all right, feel pretty good, and it's just another like. I would love to have been like there when they were deciding how do we want to do these scenes, how do we want to play these scenes. Is this on paper, all their reactions and stuff, because it's just such a moment between people going into battle, except like they're doing it because otherwise this would be too fucking freaky to handle.
Yeah.
Like we have to it's almost like you'd say like getting drunk or something, except they're not like sloppy or anything. They're just, it's like taking a Valium or something for the soul, or something that just like hits your chi just right so that you can accept all the insanity you're about to see, like a floating eyeball head guy.
So gross.
Now, one of the things that I was saying earlier when we were talking about Lopan and how he is and how he's able to acclimate. I love how he, like, the three storms, right? They have their ceremony that they're doing before the wedding. And they're just up there going, huh, huh, like doing this like thing that means something. We don't know what it means. Is if they don't do this, does the thing not work right? Is this something they have to do all the time? Is that why Lopan? I just love that he's just sitting there like, like while they're putting on this big show of like, this is what almost maybe what they were put here to do or something. And maybe it was just a Carpenter's way of like showcasing some of the actors' like physicality and things like that.
But the ceremony.
Yeah, you need a ceremony. But Lopan's just like, I've seen this a million times now. And you guys just keep doing it and just fine. Let's just get to the wedding. I just love he's just sitting there chilling, like bored of it almost. I don't know.
Oh, no. I mean, again, it's the humanity that he is able to pull out of that. Again, I am a mystical, magical, trans world creature. I'm a demon of another dimension brought up. But I got to deal with all this bullshit in front of me. So annoying. It's like the monarch from Venture Brothers in its own way. It's just somebody. He's got such capacity, but he is so hindered by this frustrating thing. You can see he's had enough of it.
Yeah. And so we get our big giant fight.
Yeah.
And immediately, as anybody who's seen this movie before, is just immediately Jack takes himself out of the fight practically for the whole thing. It was, I can imagine young me probably being a little disappointed that I was like, really? But now, I mean, it didn't even take me that long after, a few years of finding this to just be absolutely hilarious. That honestly, it's probably the best thing for him is to just get knocked out on the floor, knocked out on the ground, or stuck to a guy that he's got the plates and he can't get off the guy. Everybody else is flying around like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And having these epic moments. I mean, even Dennis Dunn, Wang's character gets to take on one of these guys flying around. He gets to show off his kung fu moves, going toe to toe with basically a god, some mythological god. And the guy's look on his face, and he realizes like, who are you? Like, and he just like gives him that playful look, like, yeah, you don't know me, man. You're after my girl. You guys are trying to take my girl. I'm going to fight you guys to the death. And then I don't know what this.
Oh, that
like video games.
Well, that's exactly it. As a kid, that's where I lost it because again, they've got this big thing and here's Lopan with a video game controller effectively. Oh, I'll go there and hit the button and do and I'm just
He's doing this.
Yeah, like
and Egg Shen's doing the classic, like this is like, and it made me think of fucking Star Wars, man. It made me think of like Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader and stuff, like just good versus evil playing out in this like mystical, like their avatars in the sky, and I'm just like thinking, good Lord, no wonder they needed to take drugs before they like went down there and did this. It's just. It's fantastic. As scary as it is, it's just like, and then you never will be able to beat me, action. Like, such classic super villainy, like, again, Egg Shen to me is like a superhero. Like, he's an old superhero. He's just he's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He just doesn't have to, he's been around and he's still going, and this is this ultimate battle, his destiny to fight this guy. All these little stories going on for everyone. It's simple for Wang. He wants his girl, but like, again, we don't know the history of these two, and that there's that part of me, and we've said this before about like when we were talking about Alien Earth, and we were like saying we don't even, if they give us the episode 5, which they gave us and whatever, but I said we don't even need to know this to get it. And that's the same here, where I think if I knew their history, it would kind of like ruin the magic of this movie.
You wouldn't
don't
want a
always have to
prequel.
know everything.
Yeah.
It's implied, and you can take enough from other stories. Like I said, comparing this Van Helsing to Dracula thing. If you've seen that, you've seen this. They've probably, like, Egg Shen probably has been hurt by this guy constantly. He can't defeat him. He doesn't, you know what I mean? And all this going on until this final battle that is finally happening. This is what's important, not all the other stuff. But I love that you are allowed to, your imagination, at least my imagination, goes wild thinking about the history of all of this. And
well, yeah, because especially they bring out Chen as introduces the bus driver and whatever, and even when he has his place and he's like, this is priceless here, this is a very rich man, he owns the whole block, it doesn't look like much. He looks like that piddling little village sorcerer, and yet the ancient villain knows him. It's like as soon as the eye sees him, oh, it's Egg Chen. Oh, that's I'm going to do this. Oh, you never could beat me. It's like, yeah, you get the idea. There is a rivalry, and suddenly there's more depth to this guy that you're like laughing at earlier. Like, really? This is the guy? And the villain is like, oh, my old enemy. Well, I mean, it could be that old. It's only the past 50 years or something.
yeah, like how old is Egg Shen?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of gives a mystical element to him as well.
Yeah, because I mean, there's always been that talk that Van Helsing was kind of a immortal in his own way, kind of like a Merlin type of character that just somehow, we don't know all of it. But again, I don't want to know all of it. You know,
totally.
You always want to see behind the curtain. And so throughout the whole big fight, Egg Shen gets his like rocket launcher thing or whatever, blasts a hole in this beautiful skull. This set, by the way,
Oh,
you know what it rivals?
Classic and neon.
Yeah, and it makes me think of the bar from Dusk Till Dawn, of like big open cool sets, or like the temple in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, totally.
Just these big things that we don't get anymore. If I'm gonna make gripes about things from then and now, I miss these big kind of like epic cool sets that they used to have, where it like doesn't even have to take up the whole movie, but like you remember. And I think about things now, and I'm just like, so much of it is done CGI that I don't even really think, you know what I mean? Like when you actually see something like, say, in the show like Shogun or something, where it's like, oh my God, like these sets are unbelievable. All the stuff they built to make you feel like you're really there. It's few and far between for me, or maybe I'm just not watching the right shows and movies. I don't know.
Well, no, but you get the difference between like what you see with the volume and some of the Marvel and Star Wars stuff that looks a little constrained, and while you get great effects background, it looks off. And then you have something like Alien Earth with all of these practical sets, and people are running through and moving, and it has a totally different feel to it, and you can do so much more with it. You can move the actors around within the environment so much more.
So now we come to basically our end of this, where Lopan is trying to make his escape with Miao Yin.
Yeah.
And I love that this like wraps up like so fast. Like he's mortal now. That was it. They needed to let this whole thing play out because now he's alive. But he's still a threat because he's still got these gods.
Sure.
With them. And so you've got to deal with that. Meanwhile, I mean, I'll let you talk about this end part because I don't want to just yammer on like I've been doing. But how do you feel like about this end scene with the end of Lopan and all that?
Oh, well, again, you're expecting a big fight, and the fact that it is so quick and it touches on that, very first scene you saw with it's all in the reflexes. And especially because Jack was just so ineffective. He knocks himself out. Then he spends the rest of the fight with this giant guard on him that he's just trying to get off. Maybe he get off of him. Then he just, he meets the girl, goes up, gets the kiss. So he pops up in the final scene with lipstick on his face. And the fact that they just keep that on is like so perfect. And you have Lopan, the big ancient sorcerer who's now achieved all of his dreams, who just needs to swat this annoying fly away. And that's what gets him. It's just throws it. That's a nice knife. Goodbye. Shunk, and then just immediately switches right in the forehead and he's down.
It's so fast. The first time I saw that, my jaw was on the floor because I was like, he's dead. He's just dead.
Yeah. The big fight's already happened, and Jack finally gets to actually be the hero.
And just real quick, because I'm gonna pause this real quick. For you guys watching, it'll be a moment. But I'm going to pause this real quick because I forgot to grab something that I need. I'll be right back.
Hit it.
All right. Yeah, we're back. I forgot. I have this from Gino, my buddy Gino. I don't know if it plays really good on the.
Yeah, it's zooming
in.
There you go.
It's the skull with Jack Burton and his little knife. I had to bust this out. I should have had this up the whole time. But yeah, my buddy Gino, my brother from another mother, got this for me a long time ago because he knew how much I love Big Trouble in Little China. And the Funkos for these, I think Jack Burton is a very expensive Funko Pop.
I would imagine so.
For anybody that is into that kind of thing. He just dies. And it was amazing because it's just for him, all this goes on and you wonder, did he have a second to think? It looks like he did, like, oh, it's over. What? I almost wish, because how in some movies they let the head talk for a second or something, like go down, like, oh, but they don't let him, man. It just says shock on his face of like everything. But we're not done yet.
Oh, I know.
One of the most insane deaths in cinema history is we just didn't know how much Thunder cared about his boss.
He's really mad.
That look on his face of like, you look at my boss, look at you. That absolute just like breakdown of, okay, like what would have happened if they had stayed in the room? I don't know. Doesn't seem like anything really. I love the effect of it, the face. Somebody's got that face somewhere, right?
Yeah. I would hope so. He
looked like a garbage pail kid. Like just.
And even before that, the scene where he's chasing Wang around, it's like back and forth like a Scooby-Doo thing as he's just going like side to side. At the point where he comes up and just out of anger and frustration just destroys that one thing for no reason. It's not this way. He's just like, I need to destroy something. I mean, it was a perfect build because, when he sees at the end, it's just his anger gets the most of him. He just gets too mad. He can't Hulk out. He just the out part without the hulking.
So our heroes they get the girls. The villains are all dead for the most part. I do think they still have to drop the rock on Lightning.
On Lightning, oh yeah. How'd you get up there? Wasn't easy. There you go. That's it. There's no other explanation.
You got a
given.
Batman grappling hook, man.
Just where did that come from?
It just doesn't even matter. The guy is just amazing. He's just a Swiss Army knife of whatever you need. And again, you should be like, in other movies I may be like, well, maybe they need to establish this. No, you don't.
No.
You don't. Because everything's a mystery in this. So the guy has a grappling hook. Who cares? And everything goes down, and then the cops and the fire department and everything has to blow the hell up. A whole block has to get destroyed before they finally show up. And it's too late, and nobody knows what the hell happened. I don't know if they find David Lopan's body or what. They're going to go digging that far deep underground. I don't think so. Plus the place was kind of coming down around him, so he's buried underneath all kinds of rock with his exploded buddy, except somebody gets out. But this also has just such a great, to the point and true to character ending for Jack Burton and and Gracie Law and all that. Is that I like. One thing we didn't really talk about is they didn't, there's always the female male romance in these kind of, in just about all the action movies. The guy and the girl have to get together at the end of the movie, and we don't have to do that in this. We don't have to go on to pretend that they have a whirlwind romance that takes them everywhere, or in movies where the sequel comes out and we find out that they were together for a year and then they broke up because they're not right for each other when they were never. Here's the thing in these action movies is those two people that get together, they're almost never right for each other. It's just the movie and the moments caught up in each other, and they're that's why they, it's not just for dramatic purposes that they break these characters up. They never really should be together in the first place. And they kiss, they have their moment, but Jack's not that guy, and they don't make him be that guy. Does he like her? Yes. Does he like his freedom and his truck and going out more and wanting to get the fuck out of there after all that's happened to get back to his normalcy? Yes. And it's got one of the great lines. Instead of here's looking at you, kid, and all this other, Casablanca and shit. It ends much better than that to me.
Nope. Well,
exactly.
and it plays well because in reality, yes, the hero did get the girl. Wang rescued his fiancée, and they're going to be married because he's the hero.
Yes.
Not Jack. So he can't get the girl because, for whatever reason, he wants his freedom. He's too stupid. He still can't connect to his sensitive side enough. The only bit that he can is after a kiss in the middle of nowhere. It's just thrilled to be alive.
But also, again, unspoken, unsaid. It doesn't mean that he won't ever see her again.
Sure.
You can play with all these things. He's saying, it's not even really goodbye. I mean, they just you're not even going to kiss her? Nope. Because what if he does let her down? What if he doesn't come back? What if all these things? The character is noble in his own way. In fact, that's a really noble thing to do, to not do something that's stupid, which is to pretend that you are going to have something with somebody who seems, she's passionate and she cares and she kind of seems to really like you. And maybe, you can say, we can make up all these stories that we want now and play with our heads. Does Jack come back for her? Maybe. It depends on what you want to write for your headcanon. After it says it's over, it's over. Same thing with when he's driving away and he's doing his thing and it's the old Pork Chop Express. And we see the mutated gorilla orangutan microwaved sitting there in the back of his cab. Oh no, does that mean Jack's going to die? No, we don't know.
Is there a sequel planned? No, it's just how we leave things.
Yeah. And, it's Jack. So Jack will probably handle it. But that's the fun of this kind of storytelling, is it lets you come up with your own stuff, which is like, I think there's a comic book that I've not been able to track down myself because I wasn't going to pay the amount of money I think that it was, because it's kind of a rare book, I believe.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on the comic
unofficial
book.
sequel, like
But,
it's like 20 or 30 years later. Yeah.
But again, I don't need that. I don't need it. This is perfect. And they were talking about how there's still somehow in limbo a remake with The Rock. Please don't.
No, some things they just need to exist as they are. Look, Jumanji was a fantastic surprise. The original film was good. I actually think they kind of exceeded it with the sequel and their setup and their plan and everything, but it was nice they connected.
Oh, yeah.
And that was cool. And you could do that with some stuff, but
tabletop game, video games. That's perfect. This, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Everybody that we want to see in the movie, well, you're not going to have them in it.
Right.
And a lot of these people are too old to replay those parts. So you're just going to tell the story that didn't succeed then now? Why? It can't be for money. It can't be for money.
And all of that. Yeah. Well, and the magic of this is so much in the cast and their interaction and their energy and the kind of, 80s feel to this movie of its live action and its practical effects in so many places and all of those types of things. It's a certain level of cheesiness. That's what makes this movie what it is. I mean, look, I love Tron, but Tron Legacy was just a retelling of that first movie with fancier special effects in so many ways. And look, Ares is coming out, and eventually it'll be on cable, on a streaming service, and I'll watch it. I'm not giving Jared Leto my money. But it's also like, I just, too many times you try to do a sequel, you try to do a reboot and so on, and you're just kind of doing the, remember this? It's Member Berries Express. Remember this thing? Oh, look, now this is bigger. Oh, remember this joke? Now we're doing it with The Rock. You are not going to get a better version of the low-pan Jack Burton back and forth than you will with James Hong, Kurt Russell, and Dennis Dunn sitting there in the room. You're just not.
Yeah. And the exact wording for their, like, her, Gracie and him, right? Besides the whole note thing is, she says, "See you around, Burton," and he says, "Never can tell."
Yeah.
Right? That's all you need. And the line that, "We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we?" Like, hell yeah. This movie is fucking great. It's almost 40 years old. It still holds up. It's a genuine, flat-out classic. It's in my top tier of movies. There's best and there's favorite. And then there's movies that just do it for me every step of the way. It doesn't matter what category and money they made and awards and blah, blah, blah. These are the movies that, to me, are the ones that we should be telling stories about. Like, if we didn't have movies anymore, if we lost the ability to do that, these are the stories that I would want to retell people. I wouldn't want to be telling them about The Godfather or Citizen Kane. I'd be telling the kids the story of Marty McFly or the Ghostbusters or Jack Burton. Those are the things that I think you want to see live on. And
well, and I think it comes to kind of where do you put the aspiration versus the reality, in a sense of the self versus who you want to be? Because look, Raiders is still one of my favorite films of all time. Always will be. It's a great film, and it's like Indiana Jones is the guy I want to be. Star Wars with Luke Skywalker, same thing. That's the guy I want to be. The Marvel films, Captain America, Winter Soldier, man, that makes me want to be Captain America there. These are great films that inspire and pull and so on. But Big Trouble in Little China, that is me. That is me if I got thrown into this world, of how I would probably be it. I would want to be there and I would want to be the hero, but I would know in my heart of hearts that I would be way over my head and hoping I would just survive this. Would I be there for my friend? Of course. That's the kind of guy I am. So I love this movie again, not because Jack Burton is the hero I aspire to be, is because Jack Burton is most likely the hero that I am. The guy that's just is hoping to be there and hoping to survive, but really is just getting through it all by the skin of his teeth because it's just hoping that he can survive. And I think that's one of the reasons I love this so much. Between all the dialogue, the quotability, all of that, if I am honest in myself, this is most likely what I would be like in a situation like this. And I think that's why it's just the most relatable, why it's my favorite film. The other ones are great and they inspire me and they fill me with stuff. But this feels like home.
That's an amazing way to put it. An amazing way to end this video is to put it like that. Like I said, this isn't my favorite movie, but it is way, way, way up there because it's something that I've lived with for 40 years about, and it never. When I think about other films that I claim to love and like whatever, I haven't seen Fight Club in a really long time. I haven't seen Pulp Fiction in a really long time. I watch Big Trouble in Little China all the time, and not just because we've been procrastinating to make a movie or a video about it. I watch this. I watch The Thing a lot.
Oh yeah.
So what does that really say? When I think about the movies that I always go back to, what is it that are the ones that I really like? It's why I brought up Back to the Future several times, because those are the ones that no matter how many times I've seen, I just keep going back to over and over and over again, because they speak to me at a level that nothing has ever touched before. It can reach. There's other things that have hit me pretty good, but nothing that like brings us, when you think about Big Trouble in Little China, you just smile and go, fucking A. And when somebody hasn't seen it, you turn into, it's not even like how people would get like, you haven't seen Breaking Bad? You haven't seen The Wire? No, like if I find somebody who hasn't seen Big Trouble in Little China, I just will probably buy the movie for them and just give it to them. You know what I mean? Or it's just I'm not putting any pressure on you, but here you go. I'm doing you a favor. It's on YouTube for free again, by the way, folks. So if you haven't seen it after all of our talking, check it out. It's actually a pretty decent transfer, to be honest with you. I don't think it's 4K or anything, but it looks really good, because I know sometimes these YouTube and Prime transfers of older movies look like ass. Look like they came out on a TV from back in 1986 itself, like watching it on cable on an old TV.
Yeah, you're not always expecting the 4K, but you don't want the copy from the third generation VHS copy that actually came out in 1986. That's.
So, for anybody that has been listening to this or whatever, this is a perfect thing to listen to. We've got the little bells and whistles here in our little studio, but I hope you guys enjoy listening to this. This is kind of going to be how it sounds, maybe a lot more serious at times for our podcast that we're doing for the Outer Rim that we are going to be continuing to work on and get out as soon as we can. We want to make sure we figure out everything we want to do for that. But this is the kind of stuff that we live for, man. This is the kind of stuff that we are on YouTube for. So go to D's Reviews, hit the bell, hit the hearts, hit the subscribe button. Let's get Darrin to 2,000 fucking subscribers, please. Okay, thanks. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, come over to my channel and do the same. We just hit 2,500. We've been doing this forever, and we are just fine growing a little bit at a time. I just want to hit 2,750 next. I didn't say 3,000, But if you like this kind of content from people like us who are just lovers of everything, and you enjoyed listening to us talk. If you made it this far, you really like this movie, at least.
And thank you.
And I hope that you enjoyed our take on talking about this, because that's, again, a different, I think, way that we handle things, and the way that we talk about things is not the way a lot of other people just kind of stick to the script and hit the beats. We're going to give you heart and feelings and how it makes us think and feel and about ourselves, the world, and everything else in between. And it's one of the reasons why I love working with Darrin, because he's just such a cool, real dude. And when he says he is Jack Burton, I see it. He is the dude. He is Jack Burton, you know? And I'm just silly old Rob, who has a lot of brains, a lot of memories of movies stuck in his head. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so glad that we finally got this done and in the can, and I can't wait for everybody to see this. I was thinking about putting in a lot of bells and whistles, but I think that, once all is said and done, I'm going to make a cool intro, maybe a cool outro, and then I'm going to get this sucker up on YouTube. So by the time you see this, you'll know whether or not what I did for the beginning or the end of this video or anything in between. So again, hit like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you guys not in the sequel for Big Trouble in Little China, but in a whole other podcast or movie. I don't know what we're doing. You're not doing anything right now, I don't think.
Nope. We will see you coming soon on The Outer Rim.
Yep. And I don't know. Doing this kind of thing always tends to bring out my creative side. So you might see some stuff from me besides the Outer Rim podcast. And I might try to talk him into doing some things as well, because, and we'll talk about this after. So I'm going to shut up and I'll talk to him about other things later. So keep an eye on both our channels, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye. Da-da-da-da-da.